Do you ever feel so disconnected from yourself that you don't even know what to do? That you feel like you're spiraling or groundhog-daying in the same energy, the same moment, the same momentum over and over and over again, and you're just so sick of yourself, but nothing changes because you don't even know where to start changing it? Me too. So this video, I'm going to ramble from the heart while I pull cards from this archetype deck from Carol and Miss, and possibly a couple other of my decks, because I want to share my experience of how I find my way back to myself, especially in moments of struggle or frustration or pain or like extreme psychological, spiritual warfare that's being waged within me, by me, because of the patterns and the ways of the world. So, if you're sick of the struggle and you need some relief, but you don't want to hear from some guru who's smiling at you and seems like they have it all together, then come sit on the floor with me. Ground on down. And let's cry it out together. Because that's what this is. And if you're uncomfortable with human emotion, if you're uncomfortable with vulnerability, then turn this video off because it's not for you. But if you're ready to hold yourself, then I welcome you. Because that's what I'm doing. And that's all I'm here to offer. Is the perspective of a woman who's been wounded and has found wisdom within. Okay, so here's my story. These first two cards that are out, child, orphan. Now, not literally have I been orphaned, but actually literally, yes. Growing up in my early formative years, I had a really wonderful dad who was law enforcement and super structured and super stable and had enough money to give us all the things that we wanted until his life started falling apart and he did not have the emotional coping tools or resources to hold himself or deal with struggle. And he turned to alcohol, and alcohol killed him. It took his life. He died face down in a snowbank, drunk. And that was that for my dad. But that wasn't that for my dad. Because he gave me the framework of seeing exactly what I didn't want to do with my life. I didn't want to resort to the coping mechanisms of numbing out my feelings and killing myself with drugs and alcohol. I did start walking that road. I went down the path of addiction, and by the grace of the universe that programmed and engineered me for different, I was found by, or I found NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And through working that 12-step program for 4 years with a sponsor, I got enough self-awareness, enough coping tools, enough self-accountability, and enough distance from victim mentality to be able to get my shit together enough to start finding my spiritual path, which eventually led me to where I am now. So, disclaimer, if you're struggling with numbing, and that's your go-to coping tool, which, in full disclosure, until pretty recently, I'd still been doing to a very less degree with weed, get some help. Get to a meeting. Find a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Go to na.org and get yourself some help. You're worth it. You're not unsavable. You can save yourself. You can detach from that trajectory. And I strongly suggest you do, but I can't force you. So it's just a suggestion. Take it or leave it. Regardless, my dad died quite some years ago now, maybe coming up on 8 years ago, which is his favorite number, so I'll have a moment with that because look at the 8, it's the lemniscate. We can either loop back around and avoid the problem, avoid the solution over and over and over again, finding different ways and trying to route ourselves out of feeling our feelings and coming back to center, like that point in the middle of the 8. We can either avoid that or we can embrace that. That's the eternal struggle. It's the eternal experiment. It's the eternal opportunity that each of us have been given, that I've only seen through my specifically engineered life of struggle and wounding. And on the other end, child orphan, my mom literally did abandon me and my siblings when we were young. And then over and over and over again, every time in her life when she wanted to come back in and wanted to be a mother because she was manic enough to feel like she was up to the task, and then couldn't and had to back out. And Mom, if you ever watch this, know that I love you and I forgive you, and I still can't afford to be near you because I see and I appreciate, and I'm so glad it wasn't me, how you got hurt and wounded, because I don't know that I could make it out alive from what happened to you. And I'm so sorry that you had to carry that. And that you still have not learned how to detach from that. And my heart breaks every time I think about it because I so badly want to save you and I can't. But what's true for me is that I need to be surrounded by healthy people who are trying to help themselves, or I need to be alone. So I really wish you peace. But I won't find mine in you or the way that you live your story. So I understand you're not being able to show up, and I appreciate how that's given me the ability to identify the archetype of a pattern breaker, of a cycle breaker. So I've been given this gift to need to re-engineer my life because I wasn't given the examples of fatherly authority and self-accountability and motherly nurture and approval and acceptance. I was given, you're too sensitive, you're too extreme, you're too radical, you need to work really hard to fit into this life and format or the world's going to break you. Failure is not an option, by the way. You're not allowed to make mistakes. I'm a Virgo sun and I'm a Libra moon. 0 degrees on the 4th house cusp. If you know anything about astrology, and what all of that means is that I have a perfectionist brain and a people-pleasing heart at a low road in the worst case scenario. That was the gift that the cosmos engineered me with. Perfectionist brain, people-pleasing heart, very sensitive, lonely feeling childhood. And what this did for me, to me in the beginning, but for me now, was develop within me this idea that I could fix myself. That if I could fix and create harmony in my life, if I could get all the pieces aligned correctly, then I would be free. Then I would be successful. Then I would be fulfilled. And what I've found in the black hole of my 0 degree Libra moon is that what really is justice is this fluctuation and this experiencing of being in service, Virgo brain, to identifying the story so I could tell my story of what I really know is true now. That I came to this life to be human, to experience a very specific story and play within that story to figure out how I could appreciate it. how I could liberate myself from feeling like I'm trapped in samsara, in this eternal eternal suffering mode and mentality, and this trying to fix it, this trying to transcend it, this trying to get enlightened out of it, or be stuck in being a victim. I was constantly trying to self-develop and see myself through all these different lenses and frameworks so that I could make sense of myself. And I still use a lot of those tools now to make sense of a new experience, to help myself integrate it so that I can gain the wisdom of the wound that's happening. And today has been one of those very revelationary days for me where I started this day gaining the momentum of like, oh yeah, I feel so inspired to make this awesome video and be so inspirational and like come from a perspective of like, I can teach you something, I can show you something, I can help you with something. And then my struggle and my feelings of like frustration and all of these things outside of myself that I can't control but that like come pressing in upon me ended up switching on this mentality that I revert to and divert to, where it's like, I don't have it all together. I have nothing to share. I can't even help myself. How can I help other people? I can't even stay emotionally regulated. How can I be useful for anyone else? And if I'm not useful, then what is my value? And then I'm reminded that my body holds these memories of trauma and that my brain can't get me out of them. My body, though, can help me let them go. I'm going to shuffle another card while I'm talking. So I did a few somatic exercises to release some feelings. And then here I am, all of a sudden, feeling regulated again. And I'm reminded of the spiral, of the sacred geometry that I've been drawing in notebooks since I was young and never realized how profound that would end up being in my life. How that symbol has been carrying me from the very first moment I was born and will continue to carry me through all of my life. The night. In tarot, the archetype of a knight is one that is moving forwards towards something. They follow the page. The page is a messenger. The knight carries the message forward. The page gives an idea, an inspiration, if you will, or carries a message, and the knight says, yes, this is what I'm rallying for. This really evokes to me like that phrase of like, what would you die for? You know, what would you live for? What is the thing that's worth dying for? What are you living your life for? And to me, my message, my loyalty, my allegiance is to the concept of growing through the wound, and that's what this entire human experience is intended for. There is no life that anyone lives that doesn't have some form of suffering, even if it's momentary. Maybe you had a great childhood. Maybe you don't have CPTSD. Maybe you've never endured trauma in the traditional ways where of like abuse or emotionally or physically or in any other psychological way you've been like ripped away from yourself, ripped apart. Maybe you haven't experienced those severe degrees of being abandoned. But everyone experiences some form of suffering. And it is our gift to be able to grow through the wound, to see that seed of suffering as a life that we could nurture, that grows and bears fruit of wisdom. Without struggle, there is no solution. Without pain, there is no pleasure. I mean, if we don't, on a conscious level, before we come here to this human world, there is no pain and there's also no pleasure. It's static, stoic. There is no variation like that. Everything exists and there is no judgment. Everything just is. It is complete flow, but also stagnant. There's no change or dynamics? What's the word? You know what I'm saying. There's nothing. That's what this earth world is for. That's what we're here to do. Not to elevate it, not to save this planet, not to, and I don't know everything. Maybe you know more, but quite frankly, I feel pretty confident in what I'm feeling about this to be true. I've seen it, felt it, experienced it too many times to think that anyone else has a better concept than what I grasp fully in my being, although it does keep evolving. But we didn't come here to save this planet or even to save humans. We came here to fuck around and find out what it means for you to come here, for me to come here in our each individual specific ways and fuck around and find out. That's it. And having a seed of pain or suffering or struggle means that we get to grow into someone that either goes into the victim mentality and plays in the narrative that the Matrix will have you align with, because there are those beings that are dark entities or demonic entities, or however you want to phrase it, in whatever way you want to see it, in whatever archetypal storyline lens you want to see it. There are those beings that want for your suffering and your struggle. There are those beings that benefit from it. On an earthly plane or some other etheric realm, that's true. It's happening. And also, however, that is not happening outside of the larger conscious experience that they too are part of the consciousness experiencing itself by being human beings coming here to fuck around and find out. So you don't have to play their game. You are inevitably and always playing the larger game of, if you're a human being, you are an extension of consciousness here, getting to choose how you want to play within your storyline. Again, in my experience, I was given every opportunity to remain a victim. My dad's an alcoholic, my mom abandoned me, no one taught me how to love myself, nurture myself, approve of myself, blah, 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 blah. I could be that forever if I wanted to be, but I don't want to be, because it doesn't feel good. And it's not just about not feeling good, it's a boring story. It's played out. There is no power in that story. There's no empowerment, and there's barely any validation. There's barely any compassion. What can you create of that? Nothing. Just more misery, more suffering. But the idea that I was gifted that wound so that I could take that wound and tend it with sunlight and water, meaning validation, approval, illumination, curiosity that might show me some other perspective that sheds light on how that could possibly be a good thing or how that could possibly benefit me. And the water is the compassion, the nurture, the holding myself, the being with myself, the letting that emotion flow and not trapping it and letting it stagnate, allowing myself to express those things. If I give that wound the sunlight and the water and treat it as a seed, then my spiritual growth is unlimited. My ability to be evolving, enlightening, transcending like a tree. To be so deeply rooted, from that wound I grow to reach higher heights than ever possible if I remained in that hole of a wound. That's a much better story, isn't it? That's a much better story. And that allows for a lot of diversity. What kind of tree do you want to be? Like, I mean, really, or not even a tree. What kind of plant do you want to be? What kind of being do you want to be? How do you want to grow? Do you want to be flowering? Do you want to be fruiting? Do you want to be thorny, spiky, prickly? What do you want to be? It's up to you. The possibilities are endless. There are constantly new species of all sorts of things being identified all over the place. Curiosity is divine. So getting curious about our story instead of remaining in the victimhood of our story, that's this being a knight. This is like, he's got this banner, right? This is the family crest, which I could like decorate with a bottle of whiskey and a blankness, a ghost. And when I carry that as my wound and my wisdom, I get both things. I get, don't numb out your feelings. Aha, light bulb. I get, don't abandon yourself. Aha, light bulb. When I can learn from the wounds and turn them into wisdom, this is me empowering myself. This is me validating my pain and not just stopping there. Validating that pain is a platform that I can begin dancing with the purpose of. What's the purpose of that pain? What can I do with it? What can I create with it? Can I create a shelter for others with it? Can I create a safe space? Can I share about that vulnerably to let other people know that you're not alone? That sharing isn't going to kill you, and actually it might lighten your load. I can. I am. That's what I'm here doing. That's what I've been being told to do, and I haven't figured out how to do that until today. This specific variety of suffering and struggle all came together in this perfect storm of like, just cry and then start sharing. Express not just the wisdom, but the wound. Because without that wound, I wouldn't have the wisdom. So I'm grateful for the wound. I'm grateful for the shitty programming that is still like in here. I'm grateful for those that have been finding the keys and working with their body and working with their heart and working with their breath and working with the elements and working with magic and the imagination. And I don't mean to demonize you, my sweet brain. Thank you so much for giving me the capacity to make sense of this world around me, to form logic, to bring these pieces together and to experience this human experience, because without you, I couldn't do that. And also, take a break. Take a breath. Remember your subservience. Where does your loyalty lie? It's not to this. It's to this. This toroidal vortex spiraling movement that animates me, that loves me, that gives me a safe space to come home to. No matter how often or how much this reminds me of what I need to be fearful of, this reminds me of how safe I am. This reminds me that everything is okay. I'm here. My heart is still beating. I'm here. My heart is still beating, which means in this moment, I have the opportunity, I have the chance to embrace myself, the next breath. The fullness of my presence in my being. I can make my story mean something other than stress and struggle and trying to figure it out and trying to fix and change and alter. I'm going to pull a card from another deck. And I've never used this. Is that true? No, I have. There was one pick a card reading where I used this. But this deck is like my sacred deck. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. And this one is the first one that punched me in the soul and woke me up. This is the first one that punched me in the soul and woke me up to the fact that, like, not everyone else is an expert and I'm not. I'm the expert on my life, just as you are the expert on yours. No coach, no book, no YouTube video, no therapist, no professional, no doctor, no anyone is ever going to have a more profoundly true understanding of your own story than you will if you allow yourself to witness all of you in the wound and in the wisdom. The Sorcerer. "48. 4 is the Emperor in the traditional tarot, and the Emperor is the self-accountability model. It is the divine masculine. It is the father. And for better or for worse, it could be the father that tells us, like I was told by mine, failure isn't an option. Figure it out. Fix it. Get it right. You have to be perfect. You have to do it. No falling down. Get yourself back up. There's no weakness allowed here. On a high road, though, the Emperor, that true divine masculine, is the one that is a platform of sturdiness. No matter what, that's the Emperor. No matter what, I told myself I was going to love myself. So no matter what, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to fall short on myself. I'm not going to give myself away for free. I'm not going to devalue or dehumanize myself, because the Emperor, being linked with Aries, knows that I matter. Me. I'm important. This is my experience. I rule it. I will not fall prey to victim mentality. I am the sorcerer. With my words, with my belief, with my perspective, I conjure more to experience within that framework. If we give our power away to the victim story, to the wound story, we're not acting as a sorcerer. And a sorcerer is capable of magic. Things beyond what other human beings limit themselves to being capable of. The sorcerer has no limits. Brings you to the 8. 8 is the infinite. 8 is the strength card in most decks. In some other decks, it's the justice card. The strength card is often depicted by a woman, a vulnerable, a feminine presenting, holding open the mouth of a lion, taming a lion. It's about being the softness of the animal. Because the animal, and having softness for the animal moves on instinct. My brain. It's having compassion. Like, I know, sweet brain, you got hijacked by fear at a very early age. It's not your fault that you're constantly reminding me of what I need to prepare for or try to fix or change or alter. That's your job in a way, and it wasn't your choice that you became programmed to align to such fear. But the feminine, the nurturing, the softening can say, okay, and pause. Defer back to this. Come back to this breath. You take a break. We're going to breathe. We're going to come back into the body so that we can not fall down on ourselves like the Emperor. And 8, in terms of the Justice card, is like, are we doing justice to ourselves by remaining in the wound? No. Who tips the scales of justice? We do. Unless we're aligned to that religious perspective of this whole human life is for naught and it's just some test that so the afterlife you can eternally, whatever that crazy belief system is. And I'm sorry if you're offended, but it's wounding to me. It's further wounding and I can't handle it. So I won't speak anything less than my truth, that I think that that's wildly irresponsible. This human life is not just some sacrificial lamb. This is our one time to experience this life in this incarnation. I will never be Kelly Christina Lorenz Fox ever again. Ever again. It'll never happen. This is it. And in maybe other parallel universes and all those things, but I know right now, right here, me, I'm this, in this body, in this experience. And that's not to be sacrificed. I'm the only one that can bring justice to myself in terms of witnessing myself, sharing my story, validating that it means something. If not to anyone else, it does to me. And I get to tip those scales of justice in my favor through my practicing sorcery. And at the very simplest concept, I am what I say I am. If I'm a victim, I'm a victim. If I am powerful, if I'm a storyteller, if I'm growing, deeply rooted and far-reaching like a tree, then I am a graceful, beautiful being that has value, not because of what it's doing, but because it's being. Who I be is valid and important. I love the rainbow on the horizon of this spectrum, the full human spectrum, and the birds. I'm not going to say anything because I have too much reverence, but if you know, you know. Hermes, Mercury, Loki, Thoth, the birds. I speak with the birds. I fly with the birds. I learn from the birds. My sun is always setting and rising and setting and rising, and so, just like the earth, I can be okay sometimes being dark. Because the sun will come out again, and it will go dark again. There's going to be storms, there's going to be blue skies, there are going to be tumultuous waves in the ocean, and there will be calm. There are mountains and canyons and caves and enormous horizon skylines. There is a gigantic, enormous, innumerable, ineffable variety of human life to experience. And whatever yours is a story that's valid to consciousness that created you exactly as you are, with the wounds that have the potential for a wisdom that no one else will ever have except for you. Even if it sounds slightly similar, even if, I love when I hear another person share their story or their wisdom that feels like, oh, this was in my bones and I didn't know it until I heard you say it. We all have that to share. So share it. Share your story. Because right now I gotta say, when I sat down and started recording, I was in tears and I was a mess, and I just was following the waft of wisdom that was coming from some place within me that says this is worthy of being said. This is worthy of being documented. This is worthy of being recorded if only just so that you, Kelly, can look back at this and see yourself as the rainbow spectrum that holds both black and white and everything in between. The dance of destruction and creation and everything that is. And referring back to that emperor, that platform. I am the masculine, the platform that holds myself. And I am the feminine, the dancer of destruction and creation. I am the chaos and the stillness. I am the beauty and the ugly. I am the failure and the victory. I am the orphan and the engineer. I am lost and I am found in everything. In every moment, I am losing myself and finding myself at once. I am always evolving out of the person that I used to be and becoming the person that I am. There is no right or wrong until you call it that way. And even once you do, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to look into your heart and ask, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? You're allowed to feel into your body and say, where are we refusing to let go of or dissolve what we used to believe about ourselves, but now feels like disease stuck within us? And we're allowed to let that go, stretch it out, alchemize it into something different, something more empowering, more inspiring, if not for anyone else, but only for yourself. So I implore you, share your story. Allow yourself to be seen, witnessed, validated, held, and uplifted by your own self. That's what I'm here experiencing. And for as much as that creates tension and frustration in myself when I'm trying to figure out how to do that the right way, the relief that I find once the expression starts rolling and the momentum of truth carries me into, there is no wrong way. Of course this is right, because this is what you decided you're doing. This is what you are being. How could that possibly be wrong? It might not be right for everyone else, but if you found your way to this video and you've been watching all the way till now, you owe it to yourself. There's a self inside of you that wants to be seen. Please see them. Because for as much as I don't believe that this world needs to be saved and healed, I would love to live in a society filled with people who know how to hold compassion for themselves, who raise their children among other parents who are also raising their children, among other people who aren't raising children, where everyone loves themselves, so that what we show to those children is not a bunch of people trying to love themselves, but only if they're perfect enough. I want to see all of the shades and hues. I want to experience the rainbow of who we are with a lot less judgment, with a lot less perfectionism, with a lot less getting stuck in the mental trap. And that only happens when we allow ourselves to feel this experience. Where do I have? I wonder if I have the guidebook for that. Yes, I do. There it is. Because once again, my leg fell asleep, so I can't stand up right now. I promise myself, I promise you, we're going to stretch after this. We're going to stretch and we're going to get into our body. Because now that we've gotten out of the brain and into the heart, my heart is telling me, hey, your body deserves a lot more love than it's been getting. I want to do this card justice. So, this is from the creators of this deck. I want to get all their names. Alberto Villoldo, which, amazing. His books are fabulous, by the way. Colette Baron Reed and Marcela Lobos. The Essence. This is the source of dark power. The sorcerer represents the destructive aspect of the human psyche and the self-centered behavior that harms others. It symbolizes the unconscious beliefs and ideas that foster separation, conflict, and scarcity. When I shuffled this, it came out upright, and in the book, this is the invitation. When the sorcerer enters your circle, you're being called to look at how your beliefs around scarcity and self-centered fear manifest in your world. Examine the destructive part of your psyche that misuses power or harbors feelings of resentment, vengeance, lust, greed, bigotry, or hatred. Perhaps you've harmed someone because of these dark tendencies. If so, all is not lost. You have only forgotten that all beings are interconnected and the universe is abundant. The sorcerer arrives to challenge you to change your thinking. You're given a second chance. Correct your course and practice not blaming others for the darkness that lives inside you. Make peace with it and choose another way. I don't think there could be a more perfect summation to this whole video, except to say, let's bring this into a real world context. I feel like the world that we know right now has been built by years and years of conquering and dominating in a scramble to grab power. Power because if we're disconnected from ourselves, we don't feel powerful. We feel like we need to get the power from other people to align with us, to empower us, to build us higher. But if we're connected to ourselves and we know and feel our connection to other beings through compassion, through feeling in the heart space and the womb space, whether you're male or not, that sacral energy of creator. If we can feel the spaciousness of that in our body and the potency of that, then we're not trying to grasp power from anyone else. I'm not trying to blame my parents for the power that their choices in my early childhood wielded over the entirety of the rest of my life. My power comes from how I choose to view my story, how I choose to nurture or not that wound that I was given. My power comes from my choices, my aligning with my perspective, my truth. And I know for me that I was given the archetypes and the guides and the magic symbols and tokens and numbers and colors and beings that guide me so that I could come to this point of sharing my story. 44:55 on the camera when I said that. And I'll probably edit this down. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Doesn't matter. 44:55 says to me, We're so proud of you for changing the narrative. We're so proud of you, and we're supporting your transformation. You're not doing this alone. I got you. And I accept, and I appreciate, and I allow myself to feel that infinite completion, which is such a paradox. And that's okay, because I can hold that too. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for witnessing me. And thank you if you take these suggestions for witnessing yourself, for creating more of a frequency and more of a momentum of building and rising and healing and perceiving this world as an opportunity instead of a trap, instead of a circle. It's a spiral. And know that your witnessing of me uplifts me, because for as much as I would love to be free of the struggles of the ego, I love having an ego, because it's the only thing that allows me to be human. Without an ego, I wouldn't be able to experience any of this. And it is a wild ride, but a ride I'm glad to take. So for my fellow journeyers, thanks for walking home with me. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel and you'd be comforted or uplifted or inspired by more of this, then make sure you do. Please hit that like button so the Matrix algorithm knows that other people are interested in seeing my heartfelt sharing. Until next time, I love you. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gracious to yourself. And I know from experience that if you give that to yourself, if you take the time and the pause and the moment that you need, that it will fill you with the power that you're seeking to be that change you wish to see in the world. It's time. And it starts with each one of us. I love you. Take care.